Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie and I'm back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video. And today we are going to be looking at the Champion Spotlight Sorcerer Supreme. So being in the CCP, I was granted early access to this Champion Spotlight for Sorcerer Supreme. Or should I say Sorceress Supreme? Sorry, I had to, kabam, I had to. Now I do want to mention one thing. Sorcerer Supreme is Sorcerer Supreme is an Mcoc champ and is a full creation of Kabam. Now, normally when Kabam creates their own champs, they're usually pretty good, right? Think Guillotine, Guillotine 299, Aegon, Morningstar, all of them are. And some of them have even been introduced into the comics like Guillotine. So I usually get pretty pumped when Kabam releases their own creations. So without further ado, let's take a look at Sorcerer Supreme. Sorcerer Supreme was born into poverty, collecting stray dreams on the outskirts of the Nightmare Realm before finding her way to the Temple of Vishanti. Realizing her potential in the mystic arts, she rose up and became one of the most brilliant students in the temple. Now, armed with cunning, daring, and mastery over her Book of Vishanti and crimson orbs of the cosmos, the Ancient One has called upon her to be a key player in a much larger, more dangerous game. Ooh. Sorcerer Supreme's mechanics. Sorcerer Supreme is similar to Doctor Strange and Sim Supreme in that she gains the power over time and rotates between different blessings throughout the fight. However, unlike her predecessor, she has a greater control over when and how her blessings rotate. She is also able to store a few runes of her current blessing whenever she activates a special attack, which add beneficial effects to the next special attack she uses. So let's go ahead and take a look at her. So she's got decent prestige, right? 10, 6, 30. That's not a bad prestige. She is, of course, mystic, which makes total sense. Okay, basic abilities. Blessings of the Realm, runic spells, slow, and nullify. So versatility. Sorcerer Supreme has access to a huge variety of different effects, including power gain, increased energy resistance and attack rating, perfect block, power steal, regen, slow, and many more. Whatever the contest throws at her, she's got a spell ready to counter it. And on top of all that, she's got a pre-fight ability to choose her starting blessings to give her even more options. So it's kind of like, I kind of feel like Sorcerer Supreme is if Scarlet Witch, Clairvoyant, and Doctor Strange had a three-way, and this is their love child. That's kind of basically how I'm reading this. I could be wrong. Let me know. Nullification Aura. Sorcerer Supreme Special Attack 1 brings a new spin on the Nullify ability. Once the attack is done, she triggers a Nullification Aura around herself that will slowly nullify buffs off the opponent. This can be an incredibly potential ability in the right matchup, but it does require her to get up close and personal with her opponent to get the most benefit out of it. Now, I really like this mechanic here. It's kind of interesting. We're seeing it more and more, right? We first saw kind of an aura with Mephisto, with his aura of incineration, and now we had one with Omega Red with his quote-unquote death field. We have Terrax with his rock field, and now we've got Sorcerer Supreme with her nullification aura. And I think this is a really unique interaction. It's a unique matchup, excuse me, and it's definitely going to lead to some close-up interactions, but I really kind of like this mechanic. I think it's pretty cool. All right, so let's take a look at her weaknesses. Fragile. Sorcerer Supreme has a relatively low health pool and physical resistance. She compensates for this somewhat with her regen, but she's definitely more fragile than the average champion. So usually when they're quote-unquote squishy like this, they're glass cannons, right? Think Wasp. Think Stark Spidey or Stealth Spidey. Blessing management. A lot of Sorcerer Supreme's effects are tied to her current blessings as she constantly rotates between these during each fight. Making sure you're correctly triggering effects at the right time while under the right blessing is key to using her effectively. Fortunately, she's able to manually rotate her blessings using a heavy attack, so she has ways of getting things back under control if necessary. So I'm not sure if this is it kind of reminds me of a surfer interaction, right? You got to rotate through his buffs in order to get the most damage out of him. The more unique buffs or debuffs even you have on you, the higher his attack rating is. So this is kind of an interesting thing. So I'm not really sure how complicated it's going to be. From reading this before starting to shoot this, it doesn't seem like it's going to be too complicated, but we'll get into that in a minute. But we really haven't seen much like this before prior to Surfer release, so I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. All right, let's take a look at her abilities. Passive, basic attacks, basic attacks deal energy damage instead of physical. Now, I really like this. Whenever I see this, I'm like, I'm in, let's go, because dealing energy damage instead of physical is a great way to get around certain things in the game, right? You can get around thorns, you can get around spiked armor, you can deal with Korgs a lot easier, which is always a good thing. So I am all for this mechanic in the game. I love that she deals energy damage instead of physical, so kudos to that. Sorcerer Supreme gains 70% less power from attacking, blocking, and being struck, but gains 25% of her max power every 9 seconds. She's got physical resistance and energy resistance, or she's got negative physical resistance, but she's got a lot of energy resistance, which is kind of like Doctor Strange. Remember Doctor Strange, he has a higher energy resistance than he does physical. She doesn't gain quite as much power over time as Doctor Strange does, but she's also to gain some via regular attacks. So even though she gains less power from attacking, blocking, and being struck, she does gain some via regular attacks. Now, we've seen other champs like this in the game, right? Havoc's got it, Vision Arcus has it, Mojo has it, and of course, Doctor Strange. So it's good to see some tie-ins with that. All right, so let's look at her Blessings of the Realm pre-fight ability. Now, I had made a video a while back when pre-fight abilities were first introduced with Human Torch. I was kind of curious why they weren't used before. Maybe it was something they thought of but couldn't exactly get right at the time to go in the game. But we're starting to see them more and more, right? We've got Torch, you've got Stealth Spidey, you've got Guillotine 2099 with pre-fight abilities, and I really like this mechanic because it's kind of like a choose how you want your champ to be before the fight starts. So I am all for this pre-fight ability mechanic. All right, so let's look at these. Sorcerer Supreme rotates between different blessings every 8 seconds in the order of Cyttorak's Ferocity, Ragador's Resolve, and Icon's Ingenuity. Each fight starts in Cyttorak's Ferocity unless a different blessing is chosen on the pre-fight screen. Now, Cyttorak's Ferocity grants plus attack rating and increased critical damage. Ragador grants plus 1400 armor and 30% perfect block chance. And Icon's Ingenuity grants all hits power steal for 3% of the opponent's current power. Sorcerer Supreme gains 150% of the power stolen. So I really like this. So with this, and note with the developer's note, one blessing is for offense, one is for defense, and one is for control. Sorcerer Supreme's pre-fight ability only allows her to choose either Ragador's Resolve or Icon's Ingenuity, since Cyttorak's Ferocity is the default starting blessing. So I really like this because if you need, you know, you want to do crits like Guillotine 2099, she's got that pre-fight ability, or you want to have you know, higher armor, so maybe you need that, or you know, you need power control, so say you're going against All or Nothing or something along those lines. This is always something good to have. I love power control champs, so I am super pumped for this Icon's Ingenuity. Now let's look at her special attacks runic spells, because this is kind of important with her runes. All special attacks store runes of the current blessing. Stored runes have no effect. So after runes are stored, Sorcerer Supreme then consumes up to one of each rune to trigger different effects. So runes of Cyttorak, you're going to armor break the opponent for 12 seconds, reducing armor rating by 2100. Runes of Ragador passively regenerate Sorcerer Supreme for 524 health over 12 seconds. While this is active, Sorcerer Supreme regenerates 75% of the damage she takes from blocked hits. So this could actually be good if you know, are not great at intercepting and you've got that terrible invade node. Runes of Econ slow the opponent for 12 seconds, preventing unstoppable and evade effects. Opponents with natural class advantage, though, cannot be slowed. Now, I really like this, right? Because she is Mystic class. So you've got Spider-Gwen and She-Hulk, who are science class, that can also slow, but that doesn't work on skill champions because skill has class advantage over science. Well, with this, you could stop those pesky Korgs from going unstoppable because there's no class advantage from skill to mystic. So I do really like this. Runes are a very important part of Sorcerer Supreme's utility, but they can be a little tricky to understand. Rune empower the next few special attacks Sorcerer Supreme uses with bonus effects depending on how many were gained and what blessing was present when the special attack was used. So they've got a good example here. Before the special 1 is used, she has no runes. Okay, and so immediately after triggering the special 2, she has 3 runes of Cyttorak. So that means that the blessing she had was Cyttorak. During that same special 2, one of the runes is converted to an armor break, leaving 2 behind. So you can see here she had 3, right? She had 3, and she launched it, and you're down to 2, and you've placed an armor break on Winter Soldier here. Now, the next time she does a special 2, she uses another rune of Cyttorak to trigger a second armor break, as well as gaining runes of Ragador and triggering regeneration. So there you can see we're down to 1 here. He's got 2 armor breaks, and we also have a regen buff from the rune of Ragador. Now, in order to rotate to the next blessing, you can just heavy attack. So you can kind of pick and choose how you want to do your rotation. Now let's take a look at her specials. Aura of Silence. Sorcerer Supreme conjures the crimson orbs of the cosmos to launch missiles of mystical energy at the opponent. Store 2 runes of the current blessing. The first hit has a 100% chance to nullify 1 buff on the opponent. After this attack, Sorcerer Supreme casts a nullification aura around herself for 10 seconds. Every 0.75 seconds the opponent spends in the aura, one of their buffs is nullified. So this means that because you nullify off the first hit 1 buff, and then every 10 seconds, or for 10 seconds, every 0.75 seconds you can nullify a buff. This means you have the potential to nullify 14 buffs. Would she be good for the 6.2.6 champion boss? That's what I'm wondering. Might have to take for a test drive. So this is really cool. I do like this nullification aura. I know I mentioned it before, but I do think this is a really unique mechanic. And if you're gonna stay up close, you're probably gonna want the armor blessing that she has. Okay, so let's take a look at the special attack 2, Astral Slide. Using a Seal of Vishanti, Sorcerer Supreme enters the astral plane, charges the opponent, and detonates them with ethereal energy. You store 3 runes of the current blessing. After consuming runes, pause all rune effects until 5 seconds after this attack ends. Regeneration still happens while the effect is paused, so this special attack can be used to get even more healing out of the runes of Ragador. So if you need to heal, this is the special you're going to want to do because you're going to get more regen out of it. All right, special 3. Supreme Verdict. Sorcerer Supreme enchants her crimson orbs of the cosmos to hunt down her opponent and sear their soul with arcane electricity. The first time this is used in fight, store a permanent rune of the current blessing. This rune is never consumed. So that's kind of important. Subsequent uses store 2 non-permanent runes instead. Attack rating is increased up to 7311 based on stored runes. Now, this attack is useful when you want to trigger a specific rune effect for every single special attack in the whole fight. The maximum attack rating increase is achieved by having 10 stored runes. So it seems like you're gonna want to launch your special 1, get up to a special 3, and then go to your special 2 is kind of the way I'm seeing this. I could be wrong, but this is kind of how I'm reading this. All right, so let's take a look at her signature ability, the Ring of Oblivion. Sorcerer Supreme gains plus 50% ability accuracy, and the potency of blessings is increased by 33%. All of Sorcerer Supreme's abilities already have the default 100% chance to trigger, so the ability accuracy she gains in her signature ability is more useful for when she encounters buffs or opponents who would reduce it. And I really like this. So this is kind of like, this falls along the lines of like Doom and Clairvoyant and Sim Supreme, where is their signature ability needed? Do they need to be awakened? No. Is it helpful? Yes. So I do like this. I think this is a really nice mechanic. So all of her abilities already have the default 100% chance to trigger, but the signature ability helps you out in when you're facing someone who would actually reduce it. So I do like this a lot. So let's take a look at some of her synergies. So she's got, of course, a synergy with the new Storm Pyramid X, where she rapidly gains a bar of power at the start of the fight. Always beneficial. Always beneficial. She's got one with Doctor Strange and Sim Supreme. And so she gains passive prowess whenever a blessing activates, increasing special attack damage by 15%, and lasts until the end of the synergy member's next special attack, and they're capped at 3. So I like this. This could be pretty useful for the path in 6.4, where you do damage when you have a prowess buff active. And then she's got one here. It's called the Mystic Arcs with Dormammu, Dr. Voodoo, and Mordo. The nullification aura is paused during any special attack. So this is good. This way you can get more out of your nullification aura. And she also like makes Mordo fairly decent, right? Mordo's fury buffs last an additional 4 seconds. So you pair Mordo up with her, and I think it's the Terrax synergy where he gets the evade when charging is heavy, and then add the Quake and Nick Fury synergy in there. Dude, Mordo could actually be kind of useful. She's got one with Archangel, Nebula, and the Champion, where all champions gain block penetration. So that is excellent for those pesky invade nodes. She's got one with Hulk, Gulk, Red Hulk, Joe Fixit, and She-Hulk, so all of the Hulks. And that's where the stun debuffs inflicted on the opponent last 25% longer. And then the one with Iron Man, which with all of the Iron Men, including except Superior Iron Man, which I find surprising, but with War Machine and Hulkbuster. So the armor break debuffs inflicted on the opponent have 30% increased potency. Now this one, the House of Iron and the Gamma Horde, those ones don't affect Sorcerer Supreme. They only affect the other synergy members. So overall, she looks like she's gonna be pretty fun to play around with, and a fairly decent champ. Actually, she looks like she's going to be more than fairly decent. She looks like she's going to be good and a whole heck of a lot of fun, but we never really know until we get our hands on the champion. So I can't wait to get my hands on her, play around with her, and see how she is. But anyways, guys, that's all that I got. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Sorcerer Supreme? Do you think she is like the love child if Scarlet Witch, Clairvoyant, and Doctor Strange had a 3-way? Do you think she's gonna be OP? Do you think she's gonna be subpar? Or do you think she's just gonna be meh? What do you think of her nullification aura? Do you think this is a unique mechanic? Do you think we'll be seeing more of things like this in the game? Let me know in the comments below and let's discuss. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked what you saw and you want to see more, please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and hit me up in the Discord chat. Thanks, guys. Bye.